Actually, no, I do need you. Oh, no, you spend it. Good. Okay. Probably should have had the nervous wee that my friend hadn't suggested. Okay. Just gonna launch right into it now. I'm the youngest in my family and the least intelligent of my siblings, and by seemingly all accounts, far less good-looking and talented as my brothers. And this instilled in me some sort of narcissistic need to be the center of attention, to impress everyone around me and reclaim whatever it is I thought was taken from me because I couldn't make my parents laugh as much at the dinner table. And because of this injustice, I always thought I would at least get to grow up and be trendy. Potentially even an it girl who would maybe design some cool new clothes that were stocked at Blonde Venus, or even just somehow coax Thea from Blonde Venus into a friendship with me. But that didn't happen. And instead, here I am. And while I still jumped at the opportunity to talk about myself to a room full of strangers for 5 whole minutes, it's not quite the triumph I may have once imagined. I'm not here to talk about a string of my non-existent achievements or even my grand plans for the future. I'm here simply to talk about the 1.5 years of my life, which I spent telling everyone who would listen about a yeast infection I did not have. So this all started when I was around 17, so too old, really, when I had a very persistent rash on my leg, and I went to the doctors and was told I had a yeast intolerance. And then when I was relaying this information to my oldest brother, Matt, he went, haha, so you've got a yeast infection? And I was like, yes, I guess I do. And then I just ran with it. But I didn't just run with it for a little while. It took me 18 whole months to realize he was joking, and 18 whole months for him to figure out that I didn't already know that. And in the meantime, I told everyone who would listen about it. I just saw it as an interesting little bit of trivia about myself. And one of the people who I thought might be interested in this little bit of trivia was my biology teacher, and subsequently my entire grade 12 biology class. And when this all started, I'd taken the afternoon off school so I could get the next doctor's appointment available. And when the next day when I was in class, Miss McCool was like, so what was wrong with you? And I just looked up confidently. It was like, turns out I have a yeast infection. And she was shocked, to say. Seemed a little bit stunned. And in my 17-year-old mind, it's just like, I know, yeast infection, how quirky, how weird. I'm just a little bit different, I know. It's like, that's me. I always seem to manage to rationalize people's strange reactions. Like when I was driving in the car with my friend Claudia, and her mom was like, so, Claudia tells me you've been seeing a nutritionist lately. Why is that? And I just assumed she was cranky, still cranky about the time that we drunk her champagne, because she drove mostly in silence after I was just like, oh yeah, I'm seeing a nutritionist because she's teaching me how to manage my yeast infection. But the worst time, the time that still pains me to this day to think about, is when I decided to share this with all the partners at my dad's work. And I was 18 by now, so I was 18 and this was still going on. And I was working as an office junior, which mostly consisted of menial tasks like cleaning and filing and looking through the morning papers to see if a client had died. And yeah, good stuff. And after a really boring and incredibly depressing morning of looking for dead people, I decided to clean the kitchen. And when I went in there, all the partners except my dad were making lunch and having a chat, and I was really desperate for some form of socializing, so I kind of just loitered around their conversation, waiting for my moment to strike. And then one of the women pulled out this really strange looking piece of bread, and I was like, yes, this is my time. And then, as I suspected, another partner was like, why are you eating that? And she was like, turns out I'm a celiac. And then I decided to chime in with, funny you say that, I have a yeast infection. This is while they were preparing food and making their lunch. So that was great. And then the kitchen just went like really quiet and strangely tense, and I just left thinking like they were all a bunch of dicks. Like, that's fine, whatever. Be mean to the young girl, that's fine. And then like it turns out they're just having a really normal reaction to what you would have when you found out your colleague's daughter and like someone who's working in the office is a little bit crazy. Like a little bit crazy. And months after I figured out my mistake and like what I'd done, I told my parents about this moment, and my dad looked like actually pained. And my mom was like, "Oh God, William, you have to clear this up." But it's like, it's not really something you can go and clear up easily. It's like, he goes back to the office the next day and he's like, "By the way guys, my daughter's vagina is fine. Like, down there, no problems whatsoever, checked myself." Like, it's not the easiest thing to go and clear up. And thankfully, that Christmas, my day of awakening finally came. And unfortunately though, everyone was eating again. But my cousin Tim asked me why I wasn't having any of the lasagna. And again, I was just like, have a yeast infection. So I just said it so much, it just came off, it just rolled off the tongue. And finally, though, so luckily, my brother Matt was there again, and he just burst into, "Oh God, no, 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 you don't. You have a yeast intolerant, they're different things." And my whole life just flashed before my eyes. And all the little moments I was like, yeast infection, look at crazy little me, just came flooding back into my mind very fast and very hard. And I was devastated. And then after that, as it turns out, a year later I found out that the rash that I had when I was 17, actually just eczema. So, didn't even have a yeast intolerance. So if there was any point to this to begin with, there certainly isn't now. I guess I'm just going to have to get used to the fact that I'm never going to be known as the girl who played the synth at the Underdog, who had a photography exhibition at Kunstler. I would just always be the girl who's very keen to talk about her vaginal health. Thank you.